If this was my property, I'd be cutting down this razor wire, uh, no matter what uh, the governor said, because it's my property and I can do what I want.
Landowners near the border are now finding themselves in the middle of an immigration showdown between Governor Greg Abbott and the federal government.
Our Yami Virgin has covered the border for years now and shows us what one small pecan farm is going through.
Seeing this heartbreaking video is hard to do. Now imagine being there. If you heard the screams and cries of young children, what would you do in that instant?
I'd be helping them cross and get some help, give them some food, let them rest at my house and in my property.
And that is what Magali Urbina has been doing since part of her land was taken over by a disaster proclamation signed by Governor Greg Abbott to deal with the immigration crisis.
It's unfortunate that you've got Governor Abbott, the state of Texas, also doing the same thing, saying, oh, they're trespassing. Guess what? The state is also trespassing, and they are breaking the law. And they are doing whatever they want. And they've changed the flow of the river and killed all the vegetation. Se cortaron las niñas.
Urbina, a lifelong Republican and resident of Eagle Pass, bought Heavenly Pecan Farms 2 years ago. Did you ever imagine you were going to be ground zero of one of the most controversial issues in the United States?
Never, ever did I imagine this. But now the more time I think about it, I think for those that believe in a God, there is a reason. There is a lot of prayer out here. We have people praying. You know, I've seen so many migrants cross.
Praying does nothing. You need to take action. If you truly believe in like the good parts of the Bible, well, God was all about helping foreigners. What the Old Testament says to help foreigners, just like the Jewish people were foreigners in other lands. What Jesus says to love your neighbors. So, what? People in Mexico are neighbors to the people in the United States. So, let's help them out.
And they're crying, and at night sometimes I think God hears their cries too. They are human beings.
This is not the first or last time Urbina has experienced something like this. Just a week before, we found 16-year-old John Iker Ontiveros wandering in the river near the same spot on Urbina's property. The teen told us he was being ordered by DPS and the National Guard to go back to the pedestrian bridge 2 miles away through razor wire and the newly installed marine buoys. But at the pedestrian bridge, migrants like Ontiveros from Venezuela, who are allowed by law to ask for asylum, are also being turned away. Under the bridge, the state of Texas has taken over Shelby Park, preventing
Okay, the United States is not allowed to deny people seeking asylum from having their request for asylum to be processed. So they are breaking various laws themselves.
asylum seekers from reaching Border Patrol agents whose job it is to enforce the immigration laws of the United States. An hour later, Ontiveros was injured, and these images were posted by DPS helping the minor they had turned away a few hours earlier.
We will facilitate a transport to the hospital. Once that's done, then of course they turn over to Border Patrol. We have no other authority on that part as far as immigration.
Once DPS put him in an ambulance, Ontiveros was in the country illegally because Border Patrol did not get to process him. So we asked DPS who's supposed to notify Border Patrol and what are migrants to do when released into the community without being legally in the United States.
We don't follow that migrant to the hospital. We'll call an ambulance or whatever the case may be. The ambulance will show up on scene. They'll transport that individual. Now Border Patrol should be contacted at that point that this person was here in the country legally. Now it's on the responsibility of U.S. Border Patrol to take custody of that individual once he's released from the hospital. Now that doesn't happen. then obviously we go back to what we were seeing prior to what we were doing, where migrants are just being released to the city and they have nowhere to go.
Ontiveros' family.
Well, we could easily solve that issue by making it easier for people to cross into the United States and get processed instead of making it harder and making this all one giant thing when it doesn't have to be.
In Chicago called an attorney who contacted Border Patrol and negotiated for him to be picked up at the hospital and taken where unaccompanied minors are being processed.
And whatever happened to right-wingers caring about, keeping kids safe? Well, this minor got hurt trying to get some help, and what did right-wingers do? Nothing but try to make it harder for them to get help.
Urbina, the screams of children getting caught in the razor wire is more than she ever bargained for.
Y'all are the ones that are trespassing, no matter what the governor says. So
Up until the state took over part of her land, Urbina and her husband had been renting Border Patrol a spot on her property so they could take migrants into custody and give them aid.
So when they say the governor took control, that means their land was stolen from them in order to facilitate this fascist idea of keeping brown people out of the United States.
Do you think there's any room in the United States to be a nation of loss, but also not lose our humanity?
absolutely, absolutely. I mean, I don't know what's happened to us as a nation. Everything is an extreme. Everyone is so angry. Where's the forgiveness? Where's the love? I don't know. It starts with us. When we change our heart, then other hearts change.
Reporting from Eagle Pass, Texas, I'm Jami Virgen, Fox News.